So in the last videos, we have already discussed about the yes-no structure till past progressive tense. In this video, we will discuss about the yes-no structure of past perfect, future and other modal verbs. Let us come to past perfect tense. In the active voice, let us take an example first. Had you completed your work? Here the structure is auxiliary verb, that is had, plus subject, plus verb 3, plus object. Had is the auxiliary verb, you is the subject, completed is in the verb 3 form and your work is the object. So to passivize this sentence, the first step is to convert this sentence into affirmative. You had completed your work. Here you is the subject, had is the auxiliary verb, completed is in the verb 3 form and your work is the object. Step 2 is to passivize the sentence in the affirmative form. Your work was the object here, it becomes the subject in passive voice. Had plus been, been is added in the passive voice. Completed, the verb 3 form, and by agent, by you. Step 3 is to interchange the position of the subject and the auxiliary verb. Had comes to the first, had your work been completed by you. Here we can omit the by agent or we can keep it. Had is the auxiliary verb, your work is the object, but it is the subject in the passive voice. Been completed is in the verb 3 form and by agent if necessary. Or we can simply follow this structure to passivize this sentence. The structure is had plus object plus been plus verb 3 plus by agent. First we need to identify the object in the active voice. The object is your work, we will write your work here. Had will be added in the first. Had your work been completed by agent? By agent will be the subject in the active voice will become the by agent in the passive voice. So this sentence will be passivized into had your work been completed by agent if necessary, that is by you. As we know that the past perfect continuous tense cannot be passivized. Next, come to simple future tense. In active voice, let us take an example. Shall we help the poor? Here shall is the auxiliary verb, we is the subject, help is the main verb, the poor is the object. So the structure of active voice will become shall or will can also be used here. We, that is the subject, shall or will plus subject plus verb, the verb 1 form and the object. So the step 1 is to convert this sentence into affirmative. We shall help the poor. Here we is the subject, shall is the auxiliary verb, help is the main verb, the poor is the object. Step 2 is to passivize the sentence in affirmative. The poor was the object in affirmative, it becomes the subject in passive voice. Shall be, is added in the passive voice and help is in the verb 3 form. By agent, by us. We can also omit the by agent. Step 3 is to just interchange the position of the subject and the auxiliary verb. Shall becomes the first here. Shall the poor be helped by us? So shall is the auxiliary verb, the poor is the subject, be helped verb 3 form and by agent if necessary. Or we can simply follow this structure to passivize from active voice to passive voice. Shall or will plus object plus be plus verb 3 plus by agent. The object in the active voice is the poor. So we will write here the poor. Shall or will, we can use either shall or will. Be plus verb 3 form of help, that is helped, and by agent if necessary. So we know the future progressive cannot be passivized. So let us come to the future perfect tense. The example is, will I have painted the picture? Here shall or will is the auxiliary verb, I is the subject, have is also the auxiliary verb. Painted, the verb 3 form, the picture is the object. So the step 1 is to convert this sentence into affirmative. I will have painted the picture. Here I is the subject, will have is the auxiliary verb, painted, the verb 3 form, the picture, that is the object. The step 2 is to passivize this sentence in affirmative. The picture was the object in active voice, it becomes the subject in passive voice. The picture will have auxiliary verb, been is added in the passive voice, painted, the verb 3 form, and by me, that is by agent. Step 3 is to interchange the positions of will and the subject. Will come to the first. Will the picture have been painted by me? So the picture is the subject. Will, shall or will, that is the auxiliary verb, and have here is also the auxiliary verb. Been, painted, the verb 3 form, and by agent, that is by me. So we always need to remember that we are doing the interrogative form, so we always need to add a question mark. Or we can simply follow this structure to convert from active voice into passive voice. The structure is shall or will plus object plus have plus been plus verb 3 plus by agent. Object in the active voice was the picture. The picture will be written here, shall or will is added here, have is added here, been, verb 3 form of painted. Well, painted is already in the verb 3 form, and the by agent. The subject, that is I, will become by agent in the passive voice, by me. And as we all know that the future perfect progressive tense cannot be passivized. So let us come to other modal verbs. We will take an example first. Can you speak English? Here can is the modal verb, you is the subject, speak is in the verb 1 form, and English is the object. So as we know, the first step is to convert this into affirmative. You can speak English. Here you is the subject, can is the modal verb, speak is in the verb 1 form, and English is the object. So the step 2 is to passivize the sentence in affirmative. English here is the object, it becomes the subject. English can be spoken by you. Speak is in the verb 1 form, spoken will be in the verb 3 form in the passive voice. Can will remain same in the passive voice. And the step 2 is to interchange the position of the modal verb and the subject. Modal verb comes in the first. Can English be spoken by you? This is the structure. Modal verb plus object plus be plus verb 3 plus by agent and a question mark. This structure can be remembered to passivize any sentence consisting of a modal verb. Let me take another example. Should we plant trees? Here should is the modal verb, we is the subject, plant is in the verb 1 form, and trees is the object. So step 1, convert it into affirmative, we should plant trees. Step 2, passivize the sentence in affirmative, trees should be planted by us. Step 3, interchange the position of the modal verb and the subject. Should the trees be planted by us? In the following way, we can passivize the sentence consisting of modal verbs. So till this video, we have discussed about all the structures of yes no question of the present tense, past tense, future tense and also modal verbs. In the next videos, we will discuss about the WH structure. Thank you.